In a quiet corner of Kingston, a once lived-in house now sits still. Doors closed, windows dark, time frozen. This abandoned home belonged to Coco T, one of reggae's most recognizable voices. When the music stopped, what remained wasn't luxury or spectacle, but silence and unanswered questions about the life he built behind the songs. Before the records, before the tours, before his name carried weight across sound systems worldwide, Coco T was simply a boy from the coast. He was born on September 3, 1959, in Rocky Point, a small fishing village in Clarendon Parish, Jamaica. Life there was modest and demanding. He was raised primarily by his mother, a single parent who worked as a domestic helper, doing what she could to keep the household afloat. There was no music industry nearby, no shortcuts, only routine, responsibility, and survival. His education began at Savannah Elementary School in Rocky Point, followed by Bustamante Middle School in Lionel, Clarendon. Music entered his life quietly. He sang in church. He sang at school. Those early choirs didn't promise fame, but they shaped something important. His ear for melody, his control, his ability to hold a room with his voice alone. At just 14 years old, in 1974, he took his first real step into the music business. Under his birth name, Colvin Scott, he recorded a song called Searching in the Hills for Willie Francis's Little Willie Records. The record failed. No airplay, no buzz. For a teenager from a fishing village, that could have been the end. For a while, it was. He stepped away from music and returned to practical work, spending the next few years as a fisherman and even a horse racer. These were not side hustles. They were full, physical jobs. Long days, unpredictable income. But music never fully let him go. On nights and weekends, he sang wherever he could, sharpening his voice on sound systems across Jamaica, learning how to reach people without a microphone or a safety net. That persistence paid off in 1984, when he connected with producer Henry Junjo Laws at Volcano Records. It was there that Colvin Scott became Coco T. His debut hit Rocking Dolly changed everything, followed soon after by I Lost My Sonia. The songs were melodic, emotional, and accessible, different from the rougher edge of dancehall at the time. Listeners responded immediately. From that point on, his career moved fast. He toured overseas. He recorded with multiple producers. He delivered hit after hit, including Young Lover and Children of the Ghetto for Jammy's Records, and Holding On with Home T and Shabba Ranks for Gussie Clarke's Music Works. In 1990, he released Rikers Island, a cautionary song inspired by John Holt's Up Park Camp, warning young Jamaican immigrants about the harsh realities of prison life abroad. Throughout the 1990s, Coco T remained everywhere, working with producers like Philip Fatis Burrell and Bobby Digital, releasing music through international labels such as VP Records, Greensleeves, and Raz Records. By then, he wasn't just successful. He was trusted. A singer other artists respected. A staple at reggae sunsplash festivals. A fan favorite whose voice felt familiar across generations. By 1997, he took control of his business by founding Roaring Lion Records. The label became a platform not only for his own work, but for major artists including Buju Banton, Capleton, Sizzla, and Cutty Ranks. In 2008, he drew global attention with Barack Obama, a song supporting the U.S. presidential candidate, an unusual crossover moment that showed how far his voice could travel. He also launched the annual Dancehall Jam Jam event in 2003, turning New Year's Eve into a cultural gathering point until the event ended in 2009. From fisherman to festival headliner, Coco T built his career patiently, song by song. But for all the music he gave the world, the most revealing chapter came later. Inside a quiet house in Kingston, now left behind. Abandoned house in Kingston. When Coco T passed away, he was in Florida, receiving medical care. Diagnosed with lymphoma in 2019 and later battling pneumonia, his final days were spent far from Jamaica. News reports focused on his illness and his death. But back in Kingston, another part of his story remained almost completely unnoticed. Tucked away on a quiet residential street sits a house that once belonged to Coco T. Today, it stands abandoned. No lights at night, no voices, no music drifting through open windows, just stillness. This was not a symbolic property or a showpiece, it was a functional home. The main residence measures approximately 2,094 square feet, with 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. Behind it sits a separate rental unit, about 305 square feet, with 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom. The property is connected to natural gas and the city's sewage system. There is a garage large enough for 3 cars, along with an additional room once used as a hobby space and a laundry area that includes a full bathroom. Yet time has drained it of purpose. The walls have faded. The yard shows no sign of care. Doors remain shut. There is no public information confirming how long Coco T owned this house, nor any clear explanation of why it was left behind in this condition. Since his death, no official statements have clarified whether the property was transferred, maintained, or simply forgotten. In Kingston, this address has become a quiet reminder that artistic success does not always translate into stability behind closed doors. And as this home slowly fades from memory, it raises a more uncomfortable question. After decades of touring, recording, and shaping reggae music, what did Coco T truly leave behind in terms of income and financial legacy? Income and net worth. By the time of his death in March 2025, Coco T was estimated to have a net worth of under $2 million. For an artist whose voice helped shape modern reggae for more than 4 decades, that number often surprises people. The foundation of his income came from music sales and royalties. Coco T recorded dozens of albums and hundreds of singles, many of which remain staples in reggae culture. Songs like Rocking Dolly, I Lost My Sonia, Tune In, and Young Lover continue to generate publishing and performance royalties through radio play, compilations, and streaming platforms. These earnings provided long-term income, but reggae royalties, especially from earlier eras, were rarely massive. Another major stream was live performances and touring. For years, Coco T performed internationally, appearing at reggae festivals across Europe, North America, and the Caribbean. Live shows were often the most reliable source of cash for reggae artists. However, as his health declined, he reduced travel significantly, which naturally limited this revenue later in life. In 1997, he took control of his business by founding Roaring Lion Records. The label released music by Coco T himself and other major Jamaican artists, including Buju Banton, Capleton, Sizzla, and Cuddy Ranks. While not a multinational powerhouse, the label provided production income, licensing fees, and ownership control, something many artists of his generation never achieved. Beyond music, Coco T quietly diversified. Through Veriman Enterprises, he operated a recording studio and a publishing company. He also expanded into wholesale food distribution, including seafood, an echo of his early years as a fisherman, and later into vegetarian and snack food retail in Jamaica. These ventures were practical, locally focused, and designed for sustainability rather than headlines. Coco T earned consistently, lived modestly by celebrity standards, and reinvested into business rather than excess. Yet when everything is added up, the final figure remains relatively small compared to his cultural impact, which leads to the next question. Beyond money and property, how did Coco T give back, and what causes mattered most to him? Next, we look at his philanthropy and the legacy he chose to support. Philanthropy. One of the causes closest to him was Capleton's annual charity initiative, a St. Mary Macomb From, an event focused on supporting communities in St. Mary Parish, Jamaica. After Coco T's passing, Capleton publicly acknowledged his long-standing support, emphasizing that Cocoa Tea was always present, financially and morally, without ever needing recognition. For him, community support was not an obligation tied to fame, but a responsibility tied to roots. Beyond specific events, Cocoa Tea also aligned himself with humanitarian efforts responding to crisis and hardship across the Caribbean. While he was not a spokesperson or ambassador, he consistently supported relief efforts connected to organizations such as UNICEF Jamaica, the Red Cross in Jamaica, and the wider Caribbean, CORE, Community Organized Relief Effort, and Direct Relief. These groups focus on emergency aid, healthcare access, disaster response, and long-term community recovery, areas that directly affected the lives of ordinary Jamaicans. His approach to philanthropy reflected his worldview. Reggae for Cocoa Tea was never just entertainment. It was service. His giving followed the same logic. No press releases, no staged photo opportunities, just help, offered quietly when needed. And as with many parts of his life, the most personal story remains the one least discussed: personal life. While his music was open, emotional, and widely shared, his family life remained deliberately protected. Cocoa Tea was married to Malvia Scott, who was his wife at the time of his passing. On March 11, 2025, it was Malvia who publicly confirmed his death, bringing clarity to a moment that shocked fans across Jamaica and the global reggae community. Her statement was brief, dignified, and consistent with how the family had always handled public attention. Many sources suggest he was the father of approximately 8 children. Malvia Scott is the mother of 3 of them. Beyond that, Cocoa Tea rarely spoke publicly about his children, and he never used family life as part of his public image. Only after his death did fragments of information begin to surface, details that revealed a man who quietly prioritized education and stability for his children. Reports indicate that one of his daughters pursued higher education internationally, studying at the University of the West Indies, the University of London, and later graduating from Norman Manley Law School. She is now believed to be living in Toronto. One of his sons reportedly attended Humber College in Toronto and went on to work as a paralegal. These details paint a picture very different from the stereotypes often attached to reggae stardom. Less chaos, more structure. That privacy was intentional. Throughout 4 decades in music, Cocoa Tea resisted turning his family into headlines. He did not parade relationships. He did not discuss domestic life in interviews. His children were allowed to grow up outside the glare of fame, something many artists struggle to provide. Cocoa Tea passed away at the age of 65 at a hospital in Broward County, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, at approximately 4:46 a.m. due to cardiac arrest. His death followed years of health challenges, including a lymphoma diagnosis in 2019 and recurring complications such as pneumonia in the months leading up to his passing. The reaction was immediate and global. Artists, government officials, DJs, and fans paid tribute, describing him as a beacon of reggae music and a voice of balance in the genre. Tribute mixes filled SoundCloud and YouTube. Playlists dedicated to his classics spread rapidly. Messages of remembrance echoed across social media. Rest in glory. Rest in eternal peace. Sweet Cocoa Tea has flown to the afterlife. Thank you for staying with us through this journey, inside the music, the home left behind, and the life he protected. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think matters most after the spotlight is gone? Thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.